Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this week's Football Brisbane edition of the Village Law SEQFC preview show. My name is Darren. This is a slight tweak to the Football Brisbane show. We're going to bring in the women's leagues and talk about them in a little bit more detail. The women's show is no more. Having said that, I don't have any women's show guests, which is very unfortunate. Now, I've got one regular with me tonight. His name is Spencer Lawson. Spencer, good evening.
Regular residential shit stirrer. So resident shit stirrer. So I'm here finally.
Right. Great to have you on board, mate. Hopefully you have a great debut and be amazing. All right. Now, the other guests, we're going to bring them on as we discuss each league. So we're going to start with Cormac Malloy. We've got Cormac on the show. G'day, Cormac.
How's it going, Darren? How have you been?
Good. Mate, I've been looking at these Albany Creek results from a distance. And mate, you're smashing it at the moment, hey?
Yeah, we're going good, yeah. We're going really good. We're training really hard. We're trying to continue that momentum. Yeah, we're giving it a crack, mate. We want to win the league, we want to win everything. So that's kind of what's happening up there at the minute. Training's good. Everything's going good. We're slapping teams. We're trying our best.
That win against the Lakes. Tell us about that night. That was an incredible result.
So we were really disappointed with the previous week against Mount Gravatt at Mount Gravatt. Drew 2-2. Kind of gave away some ground to the Lakes and like St. George, who were trying to catch us. So we trained really well that week. And right before we went out to Friday night, right before we went out to kickoff, it just felt good. Everything felt good. Everyone was absolutely giving it. We were ready for it, you know what I mean? And we just gave it a red hot crack and everything kind of went our way. The Lakes didn't really do a whole lot wrong, I don't think. We were just excellent. We were really, really good. Everything worked for us. You always need an element of luck to win these games. We had that at times. And we were just good, mate, yeah. We just put them to the sword every chance we buried.
Right. Jason Hale's the cable guy. He keeps coming into shot.
All right, mate.
We'll come to you, Jason. We'll come to you shortly. All right. Let's have a look at this weekend's fixtures in the Brisbane Premier League. Cormac, you're taking on Acacia Ridge at home this weekend?
Yeah, we beat them quite convincingly in round one, 9-0 at their place, I think. So
I'm in the middle of a panel show. Yeah, I'm on the football Brisbane panel show.
It's hard to know. I don't know what to expect from them. They've been up and down. So it should be tough, but I think if we play our capacity, we should be beating them. You know what I mean?
Okay. Looking at the other fixtures, we've got the Lakes, Bayside, the Gap taking on UQFC.
Good day.
Hosting St. George.
Yeah, mine was nuts.
Western Spirit and Brisbane Knights, and Centenary Stormers taking on Toowoomba. Toowong. Those last two fixtures are Friday night games. Spencer, I don't know if you saw it during the week, but St. George Willawong and Mount Gravatt both had their punishments for the Porcar in their match earlier this season. Both had their charges dismissed. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw the St. George statement yesterday. So they had it dismissed. I wouldn't be surprised. I think that maybe St. George, based on that, maybe owed an apology by both Mount Gravatt and Channel 7, more importantly, based on the outcome of that. But obviously, you never know what really happened on the night unless you were actually there. There was obviously a lot of stories going around from both angles. So yeah, it was I wasn't there. I stirred a little bit, as I do, probably the wrong scenario to stir things in, but it's what I do. But no, it is what it is. I think this weekend will be a pretty calm. I think they'll have the right people there, and I think it'll be a little bit calmer than people think it will be this weekend.
And very timely that they should be playing each other this weekend after what occurred. So, Cormac, what do you make of that?
Oh, I tend to stay out of it. Don't want to stir any more boats. I leave the stirring to Spencer. He likes to stir. No, look, I hope it's a play that a good, decent pace. I hope it's pleasant. I hope there's no more crap. And let's just get on with the football. You know what I mean? That's really what we need to do.
Yeah, I think the fact that I think anyone that goes to St. George, it's back when I was playing back in the Cat 4, I think it was, and when Cat 4 was around, it was going to St. George is always it's a very condensed pitch, and I think it's very easy to get fired up there, because things, obviously their crowd itself is tough to play in front of, but obviously it's a very condensed pitch with fences very close to the line as well, so it makes it a very tough physical game, which in turn makes the game and obviously fires up the crowd around the outside as well. This week it's a little bit different. It's at Mount Gravatt, I believe, so a bit of a wider pitch, so I don't think it'll be as physical.
I tell you who did check the outcome with interest, and that's Palm Beach. Now they're a club, and of course in the Gold Coast Premier League, they were docked 3 points this season due to not the players on the pitch, but for the fans off the pitch on grand final day.
Wow.
They had a run-in with the Surfers Paradise fans, so nothing happened on the pitch, but because of what happened on grand final day, they got docked 3 points. And they're having a look at this situation where an incident happened both on and off the pitch, and you know, throwing their hands up saying, you know, what's going on?
Yeah, that's not really fair, is it? There, you'd think, you know what I mean? But I'm sure Football Brisbane gave it good thought, done the right thing, and hopefully we never see the likes of that shite again, because that stuff should never, ever, ever happen. Not in a local game like this. That was a disgrace. So whatever was right, whatever was wrong, both teams have no punishment. Let's just get on with the football. You know what I mean?
All right. Just looking at the ladder, of course, Cormac, you've got a 4-point lead over the Lakes, with St. George making their move 2 points further back, and Bayside United in 4th place. Quick look at the bottom of the ladder. The Gap are finally on the board with their win. Good to see. Western Spirit and Centenary Stormers making up the bottom 3 places.
Yeah. Oh, look, we never ever thought that St. George wouldn't do their best to chase us down. We beat them in the cup 2-0, where we were just better than them that night. But they're still a good team, regardless of who they're missing. And I actually think they'll pass the Lakes out, and it'll be us in the top 2 again fighting. I'm not saying the Lakes will fall away and die. They'll be there as well, because they're a better team than what showing against us. But I do think us and St. George are still the main 2, the top 2. You know, when it comes to wins and football, like both those teams. And I think we'd have to be favourites now. You know what I mean? As long as we don't stuff it up ourselves, we're fairly confident that we'll go all the way now, hopefully, and win the league back from St. George.
Good start. Cormac, I know you've got an early start in the morning, so we'll thank you for your time tonight, and good luck this weekend and the rest of the season.
Oh, thanks a million. See you, boys.
Cheers,
Cheers,
Cormac.
mate.
Yeah, mate.
All right, let's quickly turn our attention to the Brisbane Women's Premier League. The one thing that we didn't discuss, actually, was the Canali Cup and the Elaine Watson Cup draws were done last week. So just looking at the fixtures there, so we've got Moggle up against Annerley, Ripley up against the Lakes, Albany Creek taking on Clairvaux, and Logan Metro up against Pine Hills. In the Elaine Watson Cup, we've got Annerley up against, that looks like Logan Metro, Kangaroo Point Rovers up against Rabina, Grange Thistle against Ace, and Carina taking on UQFC. So that's all come in future weeks. Now, this weekend in the BWPL, Rabina are taking on Kangaroo Point Rovers, Carina hosting Broadbeach, UQFC taking on Annerley, and Grange Thistle up against the Lakes. I would suggest that Carina and Broadbeach is going to be a really interesting game from there. Carina gave Broadbeach a good show last time I watched them play, so that could be an interesting one to look out for. We have no guests, so we're going to move on. Let's turn to Capital League 1. And looking at this weekend's fixtures, who's my guest in Capital League 1? We've got Model, we've got Chris. How are you, Chris Nelson? From
Good, Darren. How are you? How you going?
Good. All right, so you're taking on the Bulls this weekend. had a good result last weekend, didn't they?
Easy 3 points.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't like saying that. I never, ever, ever say that against, especially on Friday night at Sutton Park at 8:30 at night. There's always a bit of fire in this fixture. I know that we went and slapped them last time at our home, but from what they played last night. They beat Slacks Creek 2-0 last night with 2 pretty late goals. So they're off. They're 2 wins now. I always say the most dangerous dog's the one in the corner that's cowering. You push it into a corner, you just got to watch out. You know, a few weeks ago, Karina was struggling and they came and showed us what they were made of at our home. So, yeah, I mean, really, really tough on a Friday night at Sutton Park. Never underestimate the Bulls. I promise you that.
All right. The other Friday night fixture is Annerley up against Ripley and Slacks Creek against Karina. So a lot happening on Friday night. On Saturday, Logan Metro host Pine Hills, New Farm up against North Pine, and Newmarket have the bye.
Yeah, that Hills fixture will be fixture. Logan will be a really good one. Hills were unreal the other night. I was expecting a tough game. Logan were the same, so I'm expecting that'll be a pretty good challenge. That match there.
Is everyone sort of looking at the ladder going, what are Newmarket doing on top? Is it a surprise? It's got to be.
I wouldn't suggest it's a surprise. I think what they've done from last year, especially like playing some last year, they were always defensively solid, but they've just added a few talents up front. And I know that Alistair, the captain's gone back to centre back. Last year was up top, so they've obviously added up front, and they're a really hard team to break down. We went there, a bit of a 0-0 draw, but I'm not overly surprised. They're just a really hard team to break down. They make it really tough. But yeah, we've still got them at our place yet. So look, all I've got to say is the table's really tight. You know, I know that we're sort of labouring in the middle there. We sort of had 5 or so draws in a row, both from losing positions and winning positions, but yeah, there's not much between the teams. I'm not going to lie. You know, even the Bulls winning last night just showed that there's really not that much in Cap 1 this year.
Yeah, so 1 point between Newmarket and North Pine and Logan Metro, both in second place. Pine Hills, they're just that bit off the mark, aren't they? Back on fourth place on 18 points.
Slow start from what I remember. But, yeah, look, I could not fault them the other night. After 15 minutes, I felt like we'd played 45. They were just slick. They were fast. They were, I mean, we were pretty upset. We gave away 3. You know, we were up 2-1. We probably should have held on. But Fafana up top is just such a handful. And they've got Kai Barnes in the middle, who's just dictated everything. So Leo's got them humming at the moment. I think we're pretty happy. You know, if it said at the start of the night, you know, you can have a draw, I probably would have taken it. But after playing, we probably should have got the 3 points. But yeah, that top 4 is going to be really tight, especially that top 2 with North Pine, Logan, Hills are coming for them. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next few weeks.
Spencer, this is going to be one of the most interesting competitions in the Football Brisbane tier.
I have a really big soft spot for Logan Metro. So when Lewis stood down at the end of last year, I thought maybe they're going to struggle this year. They started the season a little bit slow. I think they've a few draws and a loss in the first few games, but they've really started hitting the ground running. I think seeing where that club's come from, they're well and truly worth a BPL spot in the future, I think. But yeah, it's a very tight. Pine Hills, you can't write them off. I think they've got each other this weekend. I'm not sure when the Canale Cup game's being played either. So you can generally probably find in most cases that they'll trade fixtures if it's next week. I don't know whether or not they're next week or the week after, but
no,
how that usually happens is they'll trade.
2 weeks away, 3 weeks away.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I have soft spot for Logan Metro. I think you'll start seeing a gap between the top 4 and if Mogul can kind of get a few points, but I think it'll be top 4 or 5 will start breaking away soon, I think.
All right. Let's turn our attentions now to Capital League 2, and it's time to welcome Scott Harding, who's the president of Springfield United. G'day, Scotty.
Hi, how are you?
Good. All right, so let's have a look at this weekend's fixtures. You're taking on Westside Grovely. Easy 3 points, right?
I wouldn't say easy. We played them in pre-season at the Springfield Cup, and they actually got up over us in the group stages and then lost us in the final. So they fight hard. They're abrasive. They're physical. They're going to make it as hard as they possibly can come into our place. On form, you'd say 3 points, but we played Willowburn a couple of weeks back and lost in the last minute. So everything's possible.
All right, looking at the other fixtures, Redcliffe PCYC taking on North Brisbane. That should be a beauty.
That'll be a cracker. Yeah, that'll be a cracker. I mean, again, Redcliffe are one of those teams. If they fire, they can beat anyone. North Brisbane, they were getting away from everybody, and then Barden turned them over last week. And Barden are a good side. Do you know what I mean? Their league table position doesn't tell you how good they are. So it's, again, a little bit like Cat 1. You've got a lot of teams in the pack there. North Brisbane nudging ahead of everybody at the moment. But I wouldn't like to call who gets second. I really wouldn't.
So KPR are taking on Clairvaux, Oxley United against Narangba, Barden Latrobe taking on Willowburn. Looking at the ladder, who's the big surprise for you this season, Scott?
For me, I think it's probably going to be Redcliffe, I'll be honest with you. I mean, look, I know there's a lot of clubs in that local area. There's been a bit of player churn between them, Narangba, and a couple of the other clubs in the area. But Redcliffe have started to put together some serious results. And we got up over them early in the season, but they hadn't combined then. And I think the second game, the one that's going to be at our place, will be a 6-pointer. You know, so for us, it's injuries, honestly. And I think it's also just concentration at times. We can be up there, but we've got to be more consistent, I think.
You comfortable being in fourth place at the moment? So you think it's fair for how you perform this season?
At the moment, it is. I think third, fourth is probably where we are. But we've got Clairvaux away after the West Side game, and that's huge. That's a huge game. So Clairvaux incredibly solid. We played them first round, 0-0 draw. Clairvaux probably a little lucky to get the point that day. But
their keeper kept them in that game.
Their keeper was
absolutely.
Yeah, he was superb. He was superb. And he's not going to be any easier when we play them again. So we just need to be a little bit more precise in front of goal. And I think we can beat them, yes.
Spencer, what do you make of this competition?
My best mate actually plays for first team Springfield. So, look, they've been very unlucky in some games. I think they should be higher than what they are. I don't think there's anything hiding the fact that Declan was a huge loss from a defensive standpoint. Not like they're not conceding as many goals, but it's just that physical or that presence of having him in behind. But yeah, look, it's over at Redcliffe. Haven't seen him on the goal scorer sheet as much, but yeah, no, just that lineup itself, as Scott said, it seems to be coming. So I think, yeah, very interesting league. KPR are still in with a shout, so I've got it in front of me at the moment. So yeah, KPR are still in with a shout. Oxley, I think, are somehow going to manage to stay up again. So yeah, it's an interesting league, and well and truly up for grabs, especially since that Barden result against North Brisbane.
Oxley are decent. They're decent nuisance value. Oxley, they beat us, and they'll turn over the opposite result. Yeah,
they always seem to escape that relegation. So it's. I have no doubt that they'll escape it again. So they're swamp. So
it's interesting that you both say that, because we found last year in Cap 2 that Barden were a much better side than the table suggested. Exactly what you said, Scott. Much better side than what the table suggested. They seemed to lose to the teams down the bottom and beat the teams up the top. And Oxley were a nuisance, and they just found ways to get 3 points when they desperately needed them. And it seems very similar this year, that there's those teams that can pull out something rabbit out of a hat at some points of time. So it's quite interesting that, it's still such a tight league by the looks.
I think the problem is, I think sometimes, you can see the sides that are being kind, that are easier on the eye in the league. And then there's sides that know how to dog a result out. And it's interesting to see that clash of styles at times. Do you know what I mean? So, look, for us, we're learning. I think we've made some naive mistakes, but we've also had some really quality passages of play. So it's just like tuning our radio in. It's just consistency. If we can get there, we'll be up. But it's going to be taking quite a long. It's going to be a long slog from here because we've got Clever and Radcliffe and 6 pointers, so it's going to be a big one.
All still to play for. All right, let's move now to Capital League 3. And we've got Jason Hale, who is the cable guy, as we saw at the beginning of the episode. Welcome, Jason.
How you going, Darren?
Good. You are, of course, the president at Ridge Hills. Mate,
Yes.
Just quickly about the club. You've seemed to have energised the club this year and got it pointing in the right direction again.
Yeah, it's my second year as president. I took over and the club had about 105 members. As we stand, we have about 295 in the last 17 months. So we've changed a few things around. We got back in Capital League 3, where we're in it for 2 years with myself and Troy as top 10 reserve grade coach. And we went out and played City League 5 due to the travelling. There's only 2 Northside teams back then, and every game felt like an away game. And I thought it was time that we got seniors back. We've got 16 ones that are sitting top. They've suffered 2 losses in a row, but they're playing some good football. And we need to keep the good talent at the club rather than losing them. So we've worked hard, and we've small committee of 5 do a wonderful job. But at the end of the day, junior seniors need to work together because that's how the club's going to progress. And also grassroots is a massive part of the club at Ridge Hills. Without that and the members, it's been a pretty tiring 2 years as president with COVID and the rain, as we had to play all our first 7 or 8 games away from home. Had to turn all the round 1 fixtures away, so we have a massive home ground advantage with 8 games in a row and a couple of League 3 starting this weekend against Tarragindi, which is no easy task because I reckon down the front runners of competition with Kevin Meacock. He's got them playing well. We played them in FFA Cup start of the year and went down 3-1. They've got quality. Their main man is Dean Lepitt. You know, he's just quality. He just sits in behind the front too and just runs the show. So, but it's a very even comp. Every team can beat each other. It's up and down this year. It's a bit of a 50-50 split with 6 north, south side and 4 north side teams this year rather than 8 south side and 2 north side. So it's a lot more even. And even Tivia Downs have improved as well. So we've got to give them credit.
That's harsh. That's harsh.
No, they have, mate. They've really worked
Yeah, no,
hard.
they're good. They're good.
Yeah.
They're good. Yeah.
They worked really hard. Yeah.
We saw them in pre-season at our place, and they've come on leaps and bounds as a club. They really have.
Yeah, they have. Got, as you know from last year when you played them. Yeah.
Guys, I'm from the distance looking at their results. What have Teviot Downs done to improve?
I played with Gabe. Sorry.
No, you go. You go.
I played with Gabe back at Bethania. So he's done a bit of tutorage under Val Jokic when Val just over the years. And look, he's gone in there. He's obviously had to turn around a semi-trailer in it's coming along for him. One of my mates has gone over there as well. Look, they're definitely improved based on results, obviously, and just better structured wise. I think structurally they're a lot more difficult to break down, but it's almost like once you get that second goal, then that's when it starts. But they started the season well. They've had a few hiccup results, but no, they're definitely a lot tighter this season than they have been in the past. I think they still lack that depth, which any good capital side needs, but they're definitely coming along leaps and bounds.
They're
It'll be a while till they get promoted, though.
They're well run off the pitch. Mel works really hard over there, the president, and the culture's growing and the area's growing, so the club will grow. I'm quite surprised where Logan Village are actually in the middle of the table there. I thought they'd be higher. I don't know what's going on over there at the moment, but yeah.
Yeah, I know Steve Travers copped a pretty dodgy injury in pre-season or in the first game of the season. But even then, still got a decent lineup to be at least competing in the top 4. I think surprised where they were to where they are this year than what they had last. Obviously, might just be taking some time to gel. It is a bit of a boys' club, I guess, maybe based on some of the guys that are over there. But yeah, I feel like they should be much higher than what they are.
What do you make of all those comments, Jason?
Yeah, look, we played Logan Village a few weeks ago when the top 10 got done 4-2. We gave away 3 penalties. But when you look back at the game, it was pretty even. But when you give away 3 penalties, you don't deserve to win the game. But they do have a decent side. Their coach was up in the clubhouse because of his suspension, and they were missing one of their key players through suspension as well. But they got the job done, and it's football. If you give away 3 penalties in a game, you're always going to find it hard to win. So, but we'll learn. We're new to it again. We've got a young coach and a player coach in Glenn Richards and Ian Kilroy as well. I know Glenn quite well from his time at the Rungbar when I was there with Alan Tacken back in the old Cap 3 and Cap 2 days. I progressed over to Ridge Hills to form Cap 3 with Troy. But yeah, Cap 3 this year will be very up and down. You got like Bethania win 3-0, then Pine River's beaten them 5-0 last week, which was no surprise. Pine River's on a bad side when they start playing some decent football. Very young. They got a very good player that plays in behind the front too, and he's very, very good. He's from Caboolture. Brighton Bulldogs, to me, are a massive improvement this year. They're a very young side, full of running. They run teams down for 90 minutes, and they deserve to be sitting where they are. But Jim Boomer, once again, very tough place to go. Always going to give you a good tussle down there. And but I honestly think Tarragindi should run away with the competition this year. They are a good side, and Kevin's got them playing well. So should be a good game this Saturday night at Parker Stanley Day, Parker 4:30 and 6:30. So yeah.
How do you rate Park Ridge?
We went there and we once again gave away 2 silly goals and we lost the game, but they are beatable. You got to get them on their day. They're hot and cold, but if you let them play football, they'll dictate, and they can score goals with their 2 front men that are very, very quick. Yeah, and the goalkeeper, who is actually used to be an old field player, he did his knee. He's just been tremendous in goals for him. Yeah, that's the one.
Bluey.
Yeah.
He's
been fantastic, mate.
Yeah, I think the good news story of the league. I think they're just the way they're seeing them struggle and drop league after league.
Yep.
It's like Bunton's come in and instilled some discipline, I think, and some structure. And I don't think they'll get promoted this year. I don't think they're far off themselves. They got a lot. The facilities they've got out there, they should not be in the lowest league in football Brisbane in terms of a competitive perspective.
No way. Like just like D-Bay, we played there last weekend. They ran for catch-up game. It was 1-1 draw, and they got 2 great fields. They got a nice clubhouse. Yeah, so but once again, they're a new club starting off like us, so we just got to buy our time in this league and try and build on it and try and bring our juniors through and try and get it as high as we can. But our aim this year is top 4. I think we've got the squad to do it. If we go one better, well, it's a bonus. But if not, we're in it for a long run. So
it's definitely the toughest league to get out of.
Oh yeah.
Mate, it's this league this year, Cat 3. I reckon it's probably the toughest it's been since I've been in it for the last 4 years, because every team can beat each other. Whereas the previous years it was always 3 or 4 team horse race, but this year it's very tight. So you really can't write off any team in this league. Every team's beatable and every team's getting points off each other. So it's going to be a pretty good Cat 3 season this year.
Looking at this weekend's fixtures, we've got Bethania up against Pine Rivers, Jimboomba hosting Logan Village, Ridge Hills Tarragindi has been mentioned, Teviot Downs up against Brighton, and Park Ridge taking on Deception Bay. I'll also turn to the ladder. We've got Tarragindi on top by 1 point over Brighton, Bethania 5 points back with Park Ridge on 13, and Ridge Hills in 5th on 11. Jason, want to know who's the derby game for Ridge Hills? Who's the team that you love and hate playing against?
Oh, look, I spent many, many years at Pine Rivers back in the Forex League days of Clayton Kosh, and it's always a good tussle between Pine Rivers. But what's happened with them is happened. So they're like us. They're back in the league after being out for a few years. Not many people know that there is actually Pine Rivers Athletic and there's Pine Rivers United Football Club, which owned the lease and a clubhouse to the facilities, and Pine Rivers Athletic played to those facilities to form the football side of it. So it's an interesting setup, but it gives the kids out that way a chance to play football. But I probably have to say, going by a 5.5K distance, will be Brighton and Ridge Hills, which is a very good derby, but also Ridge Hills, Pine Rivers, another 7K down the road is, so there's two good derbies this year between Pine Rivers and Brighton. But I think the main one will probably be, I'll probably have to say Brighton Bulldogs, with clubs only being so far apart. So that's a big one. We played there and we went down, I think it was 3-1, and there was a massive crowd. I reckon at least 400 people at Brighton. They really advertised the day well, great atmosphere, and it was a really good night. So you really can't complain with what they're doing on and off the field at Brighton, with Matt Smith, the club president, doing a fantastic job, and I can't fault him. So he's doing really good out there.
Of course, D-Bay aren't too far away either, are they?
No, my good mate Mark Offgood coaches D-Bay. They got in the league late with the Mustangs folding, and we got quite a few of the Mustang players went to us and Brighton. But Mark really came in late, probably about 5 weeks before the season started. So he put two sides together, and Mark's always good at getting players in from his regular PCYC days and what he did with the Lakes to get them where they are. He's done very well, and I wouldn't ride D-Bay off at all this year or next year. If Mark stays there, D-Bay will be very, very strong next year if Mark can have a full season under his belt with him.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, I'll just do a quick chat about the Brisbane Women's Capital League 1. I'll just run through the fixtures that are on this weekend, and I'll throw it over to the guys. You guys have been having a great chat amongst yourselves tonight, so we'll give you another chance to do that in just a moment. So Caboolture are hosting Albany Creek, North Brisbane taking on Toowong, North Star against Taringa, Mount Gravatt taking on Southside Eagles, and Ipswich Knights up against Pine Hills. Looking at the ladder, Taringa on top, Ipswich second, Pine Hills third, Albany Creek in fourth place. Just want to point out, I went and saw Mount Gravatt last week and the cup up against Grange Thistle, and for a side that's just been thrown together this year, some really good signs. Jake Heidveld done a great job just constructing a squad and then getting them all to gel, and you can see that the seeds are being sown and they're starting to get their act together, so it's great to see. All right, guys, I'm going to throw it back to you. Having a great chat before. Scott Harding, I think there's a future host. You're a future host, mate.
I think you're being too kind. Chris Nelson.
I can confirm he's the great host of English lessons in year 8, 9.
Oh, here we go.
8, 10.
Here we go.
I
don't remember you
There Will
being.
Be Blood is one of my favourite
That's
movies
right.
of all time.
I don't remember you coming out with that many cliches in my English class, but there you go.
No, definitely. Yeah, there wasn't a huge amount going up upstairs back in those days.
No, not really.
No.
I actually coached Chris for cricket. Actually, he wasn't a bad off spinner, but he couldn't bat. That's all right. You know? He'll tell you he can, but he can't. Okay.
Blessing and a curse.
That's right. Spencer, I've got a question for you. Western Spirit. How do you think they're going?
Look.
I know you love them.
No, look.
Paint MS.
My understanding is
Pixels.
So Mitchell Spencer. So look, kudos to him. He jumped on the group and owned the result and whatever. I'm not sure what his position is. I think he's a reserves player, but I think he might have potentially maybe taken coaching on that game, because I know that he messaged me and apparently they've sacked their coach.
You're serious, really?
Yeah, apparently, and a lot of players, about 8 players walked with him. So
wow. Okay.
So the feedback I got from him was basically they've got a few players coming in, but none of them were available for last weekend. Whether or not there'll be a bounce back from them this week, I think Knights are an average side as well. To be honest, they're very up and down. So whether they bounce back this week I think will be the telling point whether or not they chase down Centenary or they're back down in Cap 1 next year. So yeah,
we played them in pre-season, and they were a pretty well drilled side. They had 4 keepers that like for reserves in a firsts game. So they played a keeper each half, a different keeper for the 2 games. And then next week I saw a post on SEQ that said, Western Spirit are looking for a first team keeper. So I think there's been a bit of stuff going on in the background, coaches walking out, they're coming back in, because I believe their first team keeper sort of has been played for that coach before. They were quite good in pre-season, so I'm not exactly sure whether that says a lot about Premier League or whether they've dropped off. But yeah, I mean, it seems like there's something going on. I mean, there's always something going on at football clubs, right? But yeah, I mean,
always.
Yeah,
Yes.
the rebound will be very interesting because you very rarely see that, especially over 10 normally. I mean, obviously seen a little bit in the NPL recently, but I wouldn't think I would normally see something that big in a BPL game at least.
They've got some very, very good boys coming through in under 18s. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with their young players. Yeah,
a lot of their players did play. Again, Mitchell did mention they had a fair few under 18s play in that game, which would have been ultimately a good experience for them. And I said that it would have been a good experience behind the result to give them that exposure against arguably a team that I think should be an NPL or QPL. But that's a question I wanted to ask Cormac when he was here, but I'm not sure. He was obviously in a rush, but I wanted to know why they aren't in QPL 2, why they didn't get a spot there. Because they're well and true. They've proven year after year that they're up to that standard, and they obviously have the facilities. They didn't apply.
Nope.
No, it didn't apply. They didn't apply.
Would that have something to do with the ground sharing aspect, or?
Hard to know, and I'll tell you what, it's going to be really interesting when these Football Queensland changes come in. Can I just say, that's going to be just quietly. That's going to be interesting to see what happens to some of these teams. Do you know what I mean? When you've got player caps in terms of age, that's potentially going to come in next year. It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, I'm slightly confused with the whole situation because we haven't heard a huge amount of players, but I know I'm not alone. But yeah, I mean, look, Cap 1 sounds a lot better than FQPL 4 for FQPL 5. So looking forward to being or really knowing where I sit in the footballing pyramids. I mean, look, for us to get a second league, it's like that in the UK, I guess. You play 10th division or whatever, it's still relatively quite a good level compared to some of the levels over here. So, I mean, I just would like to know what the process will be, because I know there was quite a few issues with some of the FQPL 2 clubs this year in making sure they ticked all the boxes, like whether it's visa players or 23s or the older squads might have issues if their players aren't at a first team quality level and all that sort of stuff. So it'll be interesting.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with some of these clubs. Absolutely.
All right, guys, we're going to have to leave it there. We've got a Football Queensland show to record now, so we're about to get a whole people jumping in to join the chat. Guys, absolutely amazing. We're going to have all of you back because you're all absolutely brilliant. Spencer, great debut. Well done.
Well done, Spencer.
Well done.
All right.
Didn't do too much staring, unfortunately.
Not today. No, it's because I'm here. He's in trouble if he does it.
He's nervous.
Yeah, I saw Scott was in, so
that's what it is.
Better bite the tongue a bit.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
I'd like to know who runs the SEQ football memes page, but I'll save that one for another day.
Some quality stuff, though.
Yeah,
there is.
Yeah. Very quality.
It's not me, that's for sure. All right. Guys, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for tuning in. This has been the Village Law SEQFC preview show. We will see you next week.
Thanks, boys.
Thanks, Darren. See ya.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys. See you later.